How's it going, everyone? Today we're going to learn about a very important pattern you can easily implement in your Python code, which will make it far more flexible and reusable. Now, before we begin, I'd just like to thank Zed for sponsoring this video. Zed is a lightning-fast code editor written in Rust, and I've been using it to do all my coding for a while now. If you feel like trying out Zed, I've left a link in the description box down below where you can download it for free. Anyway, let's get back to the video. Today we're going to be exploring the dispatch pattern and learn where it can be a good idea to use it. To get started, let's write some code that will be our baseline. Then we will use the dispatch pattern to improve it. First, we will create some functions that we will use later in some sort of text processor. Each function takes a string and returns a string. Then we will create a monolithic executor. This function will take care of executing all of the functionality we defined above. The way it works is by looping through all the commands we give it, and running each command on the given text. For example, if the command is lower, we will lowercase the text. If the command is title, we will title case the text, and so on. If there's a command which is not recognized, we will print that it was an unknown command. At the very bottom, we're going to return the text. Next, let's see it in action. So here we're going to create a list of commands and some text that we want to process. The list of commands will contain lower, fix, title, and quote. And the text will be set to this Swedish saying. And finally, we will call our execute function. As a result, you'll see that our text was successfully processed and that the unknown commands were handled accordingly. And while there's nothing wrong with this approach for small blocks of functionality, adding new features becomes a huge pain in the butt. Because for every new function we create, we have to manually update our execute function. For example, imagine we want to add a shouting feature. To do this, we would have to define the function, and then inside the if-else chain, we would have to add that command. In this case, we can say elif command is equal to shout. Then the text will equal uppercase, and we will pass in the text. And while this still isn't an issue, you'll notice that the if-else chain is becoming quite long. The more functions we decide to add, the longer this if-else chain will become, which isn't always ideal. So now let's look at a more elegant solution which gives us all the flexibility to add new functions without having to worry about creating the world's longest if-else chain. This time we're going to import callable from collections.abc because I love annotating callables. Then we will include the functions from earlier. And we don't have to touch anything here. Below the functions, we're going to create a command registry. Functions are first-class objects, which means we can directly map strings to the function objects themselves. If it's your first time seeing the callable type, all I'm telling Python here is that all of these functions must accept exactly one string as an argument and return a single string. Now for the sexy part. Our function signature for execute will remain the same. But inside the for loop, we will attempt to get the command from the command registry and only run it if it exists. So let's add that piece of functionality, which is the command function walrus operator, if the command is present in the registry. If it's not, get returns none, and if evaluates to false. But if the function does exist, we're going to call it with the text provided and assign the result to the text. Else, if it doesn't exist, we will print the usual unknown command message. And all we have to do now is return the text. What's great about this approach is that we will never have to touch this again if we want to add new functionality. This code will take care of all the new commands. Now let's test our function one more time. And this time I'm going to add shout to the command line. Then we will use the execute function and print the result. And what you should see is that it managed to apply each function to the text. And as for the commands that didn't exist, we handled those as well. Maybe in the laziest way possible, but we handled them. Everything works the same way, but notice how easy it is to add more functionality to our text processor. All we have to do is define a function, such as include length, which will return the length of the text along with the text and include it in our command registry. So here we'll type in length and the function. And now, whenever we want to use that new command, all we have to do is include it in the commands. As you can see, the next time we run this, we will get the total length back. And that's it. That's all it took to add that piece of functionality to our text processor. It was that simple. And while there are many ways to implement the dispatcher pattern in Python, this dictionary approach is definitely the simplest and most lightweight. But I'd love to hear your thoughts regarding all of this in the comment section down below. Do you think you'll use this pattern? Are you already using this pattern? Let me know in the comment section down below.